It's a good win. It's an exhibition game. We're still 0-0. Did some good things, but got to get better tomorrow. Got to keep growing. It's fun to play back at home. Fun to play in front of our fans.
What specifically was better for you tonight than maybe the first exhibition game?
I'm sorry?
I said, what was better for you tonight than the first exhibition game?
Probably the biggest thing that sticks out is that we had to talk a lot, especially at halftime, about doing some different stuff in the second 20. I thought that Central Florida did a really good job of taking us out of what we were trying to run, opposite end of the spectrum of playing at Charlotte. Different type tempo, different type athleticism, extension defensively, disruption defensively, ability to turn you over and block shots, and as opposed to Charlotte being heavy gap-oriented and very position-oriented. Thought we did a much better job in the second half attacking them defensively and setting our defense. We did a really poor job in the first half in transition defense, especially off of makes. Did a better job early second half.
All 5 starters finishing double figures. You guys topped the 100-point mark. Is that the kind of offense you think this team can be?
I don't know that we'll score 114 again. It was a really fast tempo. We shot it well. Central Florida's better than that. They're good every year. We made shots. We were really good in the offensive glass, of course, and then we got some. I thought we made some really good interior passes. We got the foul line, of course, as well, but shot the 3 well and finished at the rim. Somto and Ace, RJ Godfrey, I didn't even study these stats. I haven't had an opportunity, but they just have an ability to finish at a high clip in the paint.
Productive night from Silas, and he got going in the second half scoring-wise. What did you see from Silas tonight?
What I loved was his urgency early second half defensively. He set the tone. We're going to be better defensively these second 20. He was a winning player, tonight as he is very, very often. He's getting better and better. And then I'm glad that he got to see it go in for himself a little bit. He's worked really hard on his stroke, and it's gotten better and better. 6 assists, 1 turnover. I think at halftime still finished with 6, but only 2 turnovers against all that disruption. He played really well.
What did you make of Blue Cane's effort tonight?
He's good. We got to be less risky defensively, all of us, and he was involved with a couple of those plays, but he's playing hard and he's flying around and made some shots. Boy, 5 of 6. It's pretty good plus-minus for him. He did some good things. He's really improved in some areas from last year, as have Dylan and Silas. It's nice to see those 3 guys. They come back as sophomores. And who knows what their roles will be, whether they'll be identical to late last season or not. Dylan came off the bench tonight, but those guys are just better players. Dylan made a couple of big plays. It just shows how hard he's worked at it.
It seemed like Tyron was really effective driving the
Man.
basket. Do you
Yeah.
feel like that is a huge, asset of the way he needs to play and stuff?
Yeah, he played probably as well as anyone. Now that I look at these stats, Blue Cane stats pop off the sheet, of course, but Tyron getting downhill, his efficiency, and him moving to 2-4 assists to 0 turnovers. I thought he was disruptive defensively. He got his hands on a lot of basketballs. He looked fast. He looked explosive, and he gives us a threat to make shots and get downhill, put pressure on the rim as well.
Where do you see his experience on a day-in, day-out basis in this program?
Poise. He's been good late clock in late game his whole career, and he made a couple plays tonight, and he does in practice too. Late shot clock, and we don't really want to play late shot clock. Most teams in our league don't, but the defenses in our league are so good, and there's so many of them that we're going to be forced to play late clock at times. And he's got confidence, he's got poise, he doesn't get sped up, and that showed tonight.
How close was Dakota to going, and do you anticipate he'll be available for the opening?
I would think so. Yeah, I think he's pretty close. He's just, especially this time of year, if we're not at 100 or close to 100%, he's just got to get healthy. But we look forward to getting him back. He's a little bit different than these other guards, and right there in the conversation to be, to potentially play a lot of minutes. It gives us even more depth, and there's been certain, as I said on the radio, there's been certain practices where one of these guys has been the best guard, and there's been certain practices where Dakota's arguably the best guard that practice, and that's when you know you've got some good depth. But he's a talented guy. We look forward to getting back.
Speaking of that depth, how excited are you about the depth you have on this team this year?
Really excited. We've got talented guys, bigger, faster, longer, stronger, really competitive. Probably the most fun about the whole thing is the fact that I'd be shocked if we don't have a good practice tomorrow. You know, and the best teams I've been around, it's a good starting point. These guys will come to work tomorrow. Silas, Blue, Dylan, and even these young guys, it's a little bit abnormal. It's a little bit unique in that Ace and Newell and Santos Surreal will come to practice tomorrow with a little bit of a chip, understand, hey, we got to continue to get better, and there's certain things that, you know, I may not have done well and I've got to correct. And just a pretty healthy maturity for this team overall. Again, we haven't won a real game yet, but I like this team in practice. I look forward to practice tomorrow.
Is there anything in particular you want to clean up between now and that season?
Transition defense, of course, handling some of that pressure in the half court versus some of that disruption, and we'll probably have to try to be creative with how we give each other those looks defensively, because that's not really what we're doing defensively, but in preparation of certain teams like that, and there's a few of those in our league. Being able to execute a set call, I thought we did a really good job in some of our continuity, playing downhill and playing off of misses in space, but we got to clean up, again, especially versus some of that pressure, some of the half-court stuff that we tried to run.
Just how much does stuff change from preseason practice to when the lights are on for real?
You know, it shouldn't. It's just my philosophy on it. Who knows? We're all different, but we preach, you know, first practice of June is just as important as tomorrow's practice, which is just as important as when we play at Georgia Tech and host an SEC team. Tonight, you know, we talked about we'd like to see at the end of the game us having more points at Central Florida, but most importantly, we want to see some growth in some areas. The response again to the second half was a big positive. The way our guys pulled for one another, the fact that we didn't take bad shots, you know, those are good starting points for us. We shared it. You know, they're all important. All these practices and all these games are opportunities to develop.
Do you see your ability to protect the rim defensively?
Oh my goodness.
Is that like a consistent day-in, day-out thing?
Yeah. You know, and I don't want to sit here and act like we're elite in that category. I think we fit more now in the SEC. You know, there's so many talented defensive teams in this league, and we've got to max out defensively. And there's a lot of mistakes that we made. Sometimes we weren't where we were supposed to be. Sometimes we didn't block out quite as aggressively, specifically in the last 5 or 6 minutes of the game. We didn't finish those stops. Our urgency and transition, I could go on and on. Our ball screen coverage was really good at times. At times there was, you know, some let up there, some miscommunication there. But the talent, the ceiling of our defense, led by that ability with size on the perimeter and size on the interior to block and alter shots and turn you over a little bit, is just it's better. It's better than I've been associated with in the last 3 or 4 years. So it's exciting to know that we could be a good defensive team. That said, your mindset and your mentality and your approach every single day is a big factor in that. So we'll see. Again, this was just an exhibition game.
How much more do you learn about your team playing against a power conference opponent as opposed to the mid-major that you played earlier?
We got exposed in some areas, so you get a chance to learn more. Just playing the higher level teams you play, the more you're going to be shown what you've got to work on.